was Mara Harding, a self-taught woodologist, a term she coined as a result of the profession she now leads, which is...
So I get to breathe new life into these trees and convert them into pieces for wholly for other people to enjoy, instead of it being wasted and dumped or burnt. So I always tell people I don't cut trees to make furniture, I make furniture to rescue trees. Okay, so this is where I pour my resin. This is a teak table, and inset into these areas are going to be glass and resin. This is teak that I took from a construction site, actually up here in Stony Hill. This is tamarind. This is my logo. You see it on a lot of the pieces. This is guango, light fixture.
The wife and mother of two walked the corporate line before landing what she now recognizes as her purpose. Having had a successful career in the advertising business, working with big-name clients, she was searching.
And didn't have the answers, but I knew I wanted to create.
So Mara did what a lot of people would consider unthinkable. She closed her successful ad business to pursue the unknown.
So, wrote to all the clients, gave them notice that we were shutting down the agency, and then I took about 4 months and I just journaled. I just went by a river up by red light, close to, like if you're on your way up to Greenwich, like Irish Town side. Sit at the river and I would just journal, and just asking like, what am I here? Why am I here? What is my reason for being?
Her new hobby gave her more than just solace, it gave her zeal.
So Christmas was coming and I started making Christmas decorations just to kind of get my juices flowing. Made them, not one sold. And I was like, I can't give up like this. Like, this cannot be the start of my creative journey where nothing sells. So I went onto Pinterest and I noticed that there was a lot of really cool stuff made from wood. Wreaths and Christmas trees and all of that. I had a plum tree, and at that time of year, the plum loses all of its leaves. So I went with a saw and I sawed off a couple of the limbs, and I ended up making them into wreaths. Rambo, that's here with me now, he was one of the ones helping me. We were cutting off the limbs and making all of these cool Christmas decorations, and every single one of them sold. And that's when I had the aha moment that it was wood. And I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't know anything about wood, anything about carpentry, tools, nothing, zero.
She made about $400 in profit, and with the purchase of a few handheld tools, Mara Made Designs was set in motion.
And every time I made something and sold it, I bought another tool. And I did a lot of research on YouTube, I did a lot of research just on the internet to figure out what I could use to carve. I worked outside on a tarpaulin, and every time it rained, we'd have to run inside with the tools.
Looking back now, she realizes that there were some signs along the way that she had ignored.
So I'll give you an example. About 6 years prior, a huge, massive privet tree was cut down by JPS across from UE, and past it, and I couldn't sleep that night. And the next day I drove and I looked at the tree, and it's just, I kept getting called back to this tree. And I called the guys at Rado, I know them very well. And I said, I needed to help me move this tree. You can bring the saws and come cut it up for me.
Admitting that she needs help is nothing arduous for Mara. In fact, she alluded to this several times throughout her interview. Giving much credit to her team of 2 male companions and several other people she hires on contract, she is aware of her limits. Woodwork is undoubtedly a male-dominated area, so we were keen to know how it has been for Mara.
Rough. They give me the hardest time. It's had its challenges. There were times where we were doing a lot of installations and I would go on site and the other contractors doing work would ignore me and just go straight to my workmen and be asking my workmen questions, and they're like, you need to ask her. And it's like they just couldn't bring themselves to ask me, right?
Wrong, that is, to assume she doesn't have the answers when it comes to this type of work.
This is mango, cedar. They're my children. Don't you remember your children's names? They're all my children. I remember I can tell you where every single piece comes from. I can tell you what trees are when they're already cut. I have a hard time telling you what they are when they're standing up in the air, right? I'm more familiar with the grain patterns and I can smell them too and I can tell you, oh, that's this, that's this, that's this.
With almost 9 years since her business started, she has accomplished a lot with her work being enjoyed by individuals all over the island. Now she's encouraging others to become rescuers of trees.
I really need to get with the government and we need to set up even just a temporary, when you have temporary shelters, we need to set up a temporary field location that when you do have hurricanes, instead of the trucks dumping the wood at the dump, they dump it in specific areas. Then that wood gets cut up and used back to teach at the art academies and the different technical schools. And then that furniture gets put back into the schools. So it's a cycle that we should be encouraging. And I am determined to try and figure out how to get that done, but it does require funding and it does require some effort and some buy-in from the government and the different social entities, but all doable.